What's the difference between intermittent fasting daily and caloric restriction? Because I need to do this video because I've had to address this so many times. And I say every time, gosh, the difference is huge. All right, let me explain. Because first of all, when you look at the literature on aging slowly, slowing down aging, preventing age-related diseases, caloric restriction is actually shown to be the only thing that actually holds up. But yet, you know that I'm really against caloric restriction long term. Now, I love 5 days of caloric restriction. That's called a partial fast, right? And I love daily intermittent fasting because at the end of the day, you do in fact eat less. So Dr. Pompa, what do you mean it's so different? Because when I intermittent fast, if I eat one meal or 1.5 and even 2 in a smaller window, I'm restricting my calories. So I think you're crazy. Well, let me explain further. Okay, first of all, it is true. If you eat less, you do in fact live longer. I mean, all the research shows. But here's the problem. In America, we think of eating less as caloric restriction. Eat half of our meal and go away hungry. Eat the next half of our meal, go away hungry. Okay, that absolutely fails. Your body will just lower and lower and lower its metabolism and its ability to use fat as energy. And pretty soon it goes into survival mode. It wants to store everything as fat, even if you're eating 500 calories. So long-term failure on caloric restriction. Okay, so what do we mean then? When we look at really healthy cultures that in fact eat less, you know how they do it? They eat less by eating less often. Okay, now that brings me to the topic of intermittent fasting. Because at the end of the day, I do eat in fact less calories than I used to when I had 3, 4, 5, whatever meals I was doing. But hear this very clearly. The difference is this. You have to eat at least one meal to complete full. Why? Because it prevents the body from ever thinking it's starving. So when you're eating in a small window, I eat most of my meals, even if it's 2 meals, I still typically eat them in a 4-hour window. So typically the first meal's smaller. I kind of eat within that 4-hour window. Okay, so at the end of the day, if you counted my calories, no doubt about it, I'm going to be eating fewer calories. But the difference is my body knows it's not starving. So my metabolism does not slow down. Do you hear that? That's the important point. Because I'm eating to full. Opposite of all of those low-calorie diets. Eat a little bit, next meal. Eat a little bit, next meal, eat a little bit. Or even worse, eat 6 meals a day, little bits at a time. Grazing, if you will. Yeah, doesn't work. The body, if you're leaving hungry, goes into that starvation mode. You have to eat to full to actually stop the body from going into that panic mode. Simple, because the body all it wants to do is survive. That's it. So to survive, it'll start storing fat even if you eat lettuce. Trust me, it will. It's smart, right? So the bottom line is the difference between intermittent fasting and caloric restrictions is you are eating less by eating less often, not by pushing half your meal away. How satisfying is that? You know, when I sit down to a meal, I'm eating to full. We were designed to do that. Think about the African tribe, right? Man, when they eat, when they have a kill, they eat. Man, they're going to eat even probably beyond what they should, right? But then they're put into fasting modes. Okay, they were forced into it. But you know what? We need to be forced into it. I think we need to train ourselves. But listen, this is maintainable. Caloric restriction is not, right? Unless you do it so often that your metabolism gets so slow, now you're eating nothing, getting skinny fat. Your body will literally start feeding from its muscle and you'll start gaining fat in all the wrong places, right? The places you hate the most. So you're complaining that you're fat and everyone's going, you're so skinny. But you look at yourself in the mirror and you're going, I'm fat. Because there's truth to it, right? You're putting fat in. You just don't look the same. So I get it because I was skinny fat when I was sick. Believe me, my body took down its muscle and I was holding on to fat. That's a bad place to be. So the idea, how do you beat that? You eat less often. And at the end of the day, yes, it is caloric restriction. But we're reminding our bodies that in fact it's not starving. It is that simple. We can't allow our bodies to go into that starvation mode. We have to keep our bodies feasting. And as long as they know the next big meal and you're eating to full is coming, it'll keep burning that fat down. Otherwise, it wants to hold on to it because that's survival. That's life and death. I hope you get it. So eat less. Yes, you'll live longer if you eat less. All the studies show it, no doubt. There's no arguing that. But eat less by eating less often. That's simple. Do it. Share the video.